Hey, Joe. Thank you very much for inviting me to come on the other day. I wish I could have gotten through, but I guess Google Voice didn't want to let that happen. Um, but I really appreciated your mindset or your willingness to hear a position fully fleshed out that you disagree with. I completely agree with you that civil discourse is basically gone in our country, and so hearing each other out is the best way to combat that. Um, and so, yeah, I wanted to, I guess, flesh out a couple of my points. You mentioned something on laid back law on Friday that actually really codified for me what our point of dissent is. So you mentioned that Trump is using the tariffs to make America better. And whether or not that is happening, or you can make arguments for whether or not it is happening, um, for me, that's fundamentally not the role of government, right? For me, fundamentally, the role of government is to protect liberty. That is the only thing that they do that has a just reason for being. It is the only reason we have a government is to protect liberties of individuals. And so, as a libertarian, we don't believe in positive rights. We only believe in negative rights. So, positive rights would be things like the right to healthcare, the right to education, the right to a living wage, um, basically any kind of like central planning thing where the government gives you a thing, whereas negative rights are the right to not have the government take a thing from you, right? So it's all the things that the government can't do. Basically, if you look through the whole Bill of Rights, all of those are pretty much negative rights. And one of the reasons we don't believe in positive rights is because the only way that government, who doesn't actually produce anything, to give a positive right is by violating someone else's negative rights. So, uh, if the government wants to provide free healthcare, it has to either force a doctor to work, right? Or it has to take money from the collective and then pay a doctor to do the work. So either way, like the only way government ever uh, does a positive right is by violating a negative right. And so, yeah, we don't support that in practice or in theory or whatever. Um, and then on a practical sense, just looking at the track record of government, it's not a thing I'm interested in giving them more room to explore. Basically, my entire life, government has been promising that they're going to take more money now, but don't worry, it's going to make things cheaper in the long run, or it's going to make things better in the long run, or it's going to, you know, uh, I don't know, somehow improve things. And basically, their track record has been crap for my entire life. Every time they take money, they make things worse, right? It like raising taxes has never actually driven costs down. It is just making things worse. Central planning is always a failure. Just let the market do it. Um, if you if you want to do the whole rising tide raises all ships things. Government should do what government should have been doing the whole time and just get out of the way, right? If Trump would just like cut all the regulation, cut taxes, cut all the spending that government is doing, cut all the money printing that they're doing, yeah, that would be great. That would increase the standard of living for everyone across the board. Um, but trying to take our money or like drive costs up so that the consumer or Americans generally have to pay a higher price so that certain industries in America, like a small group of people, can have protection on their industry. No, I don't want government doing that. I don't want to give more power to government to do that. Whether you could just give it to Trump now and it disappears the next time a president's in office, don't care. I don't want any president doing it. No president has done it well. Government has never done it well. Central planning never works. Do not drive up my costs so that some other protected sector can do well. I don't like distributed costs for concentrated benefits. This is, the farming lobby, the sugar lobby, the healthcare lobby, like all of these special interests. This is what they do, right? We are going to distribute costs among everybody, and then this small group of people is protected and they get the concentrated benefits. It's never worked out well. I have zero interest in giving the president more authority to do that. I don't care. Uh, I don't know what they think is going to happen. It's never worked out. Government has never gotten it right, and it's not something I want government to do any more of. I want them to get out of the way. I want them to cut regulations. I want them to stop trying to do that exact sort of thing. And then I guess, practical consequentialist standpoint, because I did want to see, like, okay, is it making things better? Because, philosophy aside, does it actually work? And if we look at, so I asked ChatGPT, I won't go through the whole thing, but you can do something like this if you'd like. Give me a breakdown on tariffs historically and specifically Trump's. Who's bearing the cost, and basically it agreed, and everything I've been able to find is that, yeah, the Americans are paying the cost of tariffs. We always do. uh, it never makes things better. There's a whole bunch of examples of government always thinks that tariffs are going to make things better for the home population. They never do. I said to steelman the argument for and against. I cannot find either a theoretical or a practical argument that government is ever going to get it right with tariffs. Um, the most recent studies, or basically every study I've been able to find, is saying that Americans are paying anywhere from like 84 to 94% of the cost of the tariffs, both in his previous term and in this term. So yeah, that is distributed benefits. We are paying more money for this idea that, oh, but there's concentrated benefits. Like, this sector is going to get better, which means that American business is going to do better, which means that all those, you know, those benefits are going to be better for the American economy as a whole. But you have to raise the cost for me now in order to make that happen. This study, and you can find like a bunch of different, basically saying the same thing, are mostly all coming from this study that was done, or this article is based on this study. Um, I don't know. You can look through a bunch of other competing sources or whatever. But yeah, and then just quickly for Jim tells you, this is Trump endorsing Massey during the last presidential election, and then Massey endorsing Trump in the last election. So yes, it is true. He did not endorse him in 2016. He did in 2024 say that he believed that Trump will put Americans first by securing our liberties at home. And that is what we want him to do. We don't want him, you know, controlling what choices we do or do not make, as far as like who we buy from, who we don't buy from. He didn't want, or like the libertarians, we don't want the president making those decisions for us. We want the president to just get the government out of the way. That's what we're looking for. Yeah. So hopefully that helps show kind of like what my opinion is. Oh, and then very, very quickly, so these two are being shown in Brave, and then if you go to Chrome and look through these, so this is, this is what happens in Chrome. You got pop-ups, you got basically just full of ads. You got stuff that's auto playing, more ads, just all this garbage. So, if you ever feel like checking out a different browser, Brave is an option for you. Great, cool, a pop-up. Anyway, all right. Love hearing your stuff, Joe. I genuinely am a big fan. I listen to probably all the episodes, usually the day after. Yeah, so love your stuff. It was cool to I guess talk out, and talk through my opinion. All right, thanks. Bye.